Going to be discussing the Northman. The Northman is the new Robert Eggers movie. Robert Eggers is one of the big directors out right now. You might know his work. He did The Witch, the Witch.
Especially when it comes to horror.
Yeah,
Vavitch.
yeah.
Bitch.
He did that. Which recently he said that he did not like that movie. Recently he said that he actually looks back on that movie and not too fond of it.
I kind of agree with him on that.
Okay. We'll get into that. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Also, he directed The Lighthouse with William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. He directed that as well. So I was very much a fan of both those movies, The Witch and The Lighthouse. Is he 3 for 3 with this movie, with The Northman? So in The Northman, you have the tale. It's basically, it's Hamlet. You know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of basic. It's a simple kind of, in its story, it's very simplistic to allow beauty to be able to be filmed in a way. And the simplistic nature of the story is it's a revenge tale with the Alex Skarsgård character who plays Amleth, who sees his father as king. His father is betrayed by his brother, who is his uncle. And you see him, you see that little Alexander Skarsgård sees his father being murdered by his brother, then sets out on, when he escapes, sets out on basically a path, basically saying that, hey, I'll come back and I'll avenge my father and kill my uncle for what he did, and also rescue my mother as well, who was, forced to marry my uncle in order to stay safe. And you see him just as he's rowing away, he constantly repeats that chant of, I'm going to, kill him and then, save my mother, and then the movie cuts to an older Alexander, to present day Alexander Skarsgård as we see him now, who got absolutely ripped for this role, by the way, just jacked. I mean, holy crap. I mean, he was already an in-shape guy. Alexander Skarsgård, I mean, you see him like when he was in, I know him from True Blood, watching that show, which he was in good shape for that. He's a tall guy and very slender guy in that show. But then, and you see him in Tarzan, which he also got in great shape for that as well. But this one, it's like he's got neck on top of neck. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, wow.
Yeah, dude got huge, 100% naturally. Wink, wink.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think he looks even bigger than he did in Tarzan, because even in Tarzan, I think, he was in great, but this looks even like he's bigger. And then also it doesn't help that, it also helps that he's kind of like hunched over for most of the movie, like looking like an animal, because when, you see when he's a kid, he kind of gets, adopted by this tribe who are like wolves, and then they train and fight like kind of wolves, and you know what I mean? Kind of always has his head kind of, down and everything like that, so it accentuates it more, which adds to kind of the brutal nature of his character, which I like a lot. And this movie is very, very brutal, for sure. You're gonna see a lot of guts come out, a lot of blood splattering, a lot of decapitation, a lot of all that stuff. People necks being bit out. You're gonna see a lot of that in this movie for sure.
Fuck yeah.
For sure. So that's also kind of another thing to really appreciate about it. And it is kind of this epic journey of this Viking, of throwing in this Norse mythology, because this is a time when people worship, Odin, the All-Father, praised kind of, gods like that. And
in some communities, it never stopped.
Really? Okay. Oh, interesting.
No, man, you'd be surprised. Even now.
Okay. Yeah, so you kind of have that now with this movie that it shows, and kind of bringing in that mythology into this movie, and you do have these beautiful sequences that are shown here. That is amazing to watch. And Robert Eggers, I mean, he's great with the camera, great with shooting, and the action scenes. This is kind of his first big action film, because most of the stuff he's done has been kind of horror, been kind of slow, been kind of meditative in the way it's shot, like things like The Lighthouse, things like The Witch. A lot of that horror in that is more psychological. It's more the build up to it, the more of like what's going to happen, and everything like that. This one, you see a lot of this action, and he shoots it really well. I mean, he doesn't, it's not quick cuts or anything like that. You really see the brutality of it. You see this character, like there's a scene where you see him raid a village, and you see kind of the brutality of that, which is all shot very, very nicely. And there's even the climax battle, which is one of the best climax battles I've seen in a while. Honestly, it is really great. I think that alone is worth the price of admission. Just the big climax battle here, and so I think he does an excellent job with that. And I think going throughout the course of the movie and seeing what he's able to do here, even with this simple story of adding in, because you have a lot of really great actors here. You got Nicole Kidman, who plays his mother in the movie, who she has a great role here. You have Ethan Hawke, even though Ethan Hawke, who only shows up just a little bit. I mean, Ethan Hawke is always great in a lot of stuff that he's in. Anna Taylor-Joy, who's a Robert Eggers. I mean, she's was in The Witch with him, and she was in that film. She comes in here as a love interest for the Alexander Skarsgård character. Anna Taylor-Joy, she plays Olga, who she has a terrific role here as well. And to kind of see like them dealing, just these terrific performances in kind of this simplistic frame, it shows you that even though this is a revenge movie, they do so much with it, and they shoot it so well, and they make it such a great movie to watch all the way through. I think. Dust, what were kind of your thoughts there?
I've seen his previous work, Lighthouse. I very much enjoyed that. While I like some aspects of his first film, Vivitch, it wasn't my favorite, and I can totally understand where he's like, I don't really like it. I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree. Of now seeing your two other works, that by far is your weakest. Because this one, if Vivitch was like all right, I'm going to get started. I'm still kind of figuring my ground, but I start with a kind of strong one regardless. I mean, he took all his techniques to make this one, because there are just so many scenes that I appreciated just watching, just from a cinematography point of view. I mean, just from like the village raising, the moments of revelation, and even though it's a simple revenge tale, there are moments of revelation that that really hit you hard and kind of change the whole context. And yet, I appreciate that unlike some things, when they tell about go for a story that talks about the cycles of violence, a movie sticks to its guns and fulfills a story and doesn't just decide to preach to you at the end. The movie sets out to do something, and it does it, and it lets you kind of fall where you're going to fall under on the concept of the story. I think Alexander Skarsgård does a great job as this character, even though he's limited in kind of what he says sometimes. He just does a lot of good. Just his presence does a lot of good job. Just kind of having this almost like animalistic nature to him that he kind of keeps back. It's good. The love interest Olga, she's also pretty good. She's an interesting characteristic even within it. She's a slave to her the uncle that he's trying to dethrone, and they kind of come to it because he at one point tries to kind of sneak in. But yeah, I think they do a pretty good job on just how they both agree that something needs to happen, so to speak. I thought I saw Willem Dafoe at one point in this movie.
Yeah, he's the court jester for.
Yeah. I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even from the smallest character, it's always nice to see Willem Dafoe. But yeah, I think overall, the acting is great. I think this is one of the few, and I really appreciate the attempt at historical accuracy. You can just see it when you're watching on the screen. You can see them trying to keep architecture that's kind of similar, while still kind of being almost like this weird fairy tale, very folklore-ish. So that's what I like about Robert Eggers. Even with the Vivitch, one of the things I liked about it, I may not care for the movie as much, but I did like the almost like Christianic folkloric manner. He tried to say like, ooh, like better watch out if you're gonna do this. Black Phillip might get you. This is, or in the Lighthouse, where they just straight up went into kind of almost like Lovecraft, like weird, psychedelic Lovecraftian madness, being trapped on this lighthouse.
Yeah.
I kind of love that bent about him, and I heard he's in the works of doing a movie, which he wants to do a medieval movie called Night, and then he's also picked up possibly to do a remake of Nosferatu. I
Oh
cannot wait to
yeah,
see that. I cannot wait to
yeah.
see that.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the Nosferatu remake isn't happening.
That's fine, man. I'm totally cool with that too. If he's not gonna do it, I'm not even interested. Not even interested. I'm glad it's not even happening. That's fine. But at least whatever works, I am interested in, because if you're gonna check out kind of like a movie like this, you really do appreciation seeing it at a theater, seeing the kind of cinematography they do
Oh
in this
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
you really do. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about like when you want a scene to kind of paint itself and you want to go a good presentation. That's worth seeing in a theater. When we talk about theater experiences, that's where, oh man, even at a home theater, you want that wide screen. You want that you just want on the screen to kind of take it all in.
No. Yeah. In this movie, I mean, it's getting great word of mouth because it debuted at number 4, but then it went up. Like when it came out that weekend, it was number 4, but then on Monday it went up to number 1. Just great word of mouth.
Sweet.
With this movie and everything like that, and I think it really deserves it because of
It does.
it. How gorgeous this movie does look, and how beautiful it does look, and really something you really want to see on the big screen. Just the cinematography is gorgeous, and the way Robert Eggers shoots things are just absolutely beautiful. And then the certain shots and the way they're done, and there's even like a Valkyrie who's in this. That's like a beautiful sequence like that. That I think you see it. I don't know if I think you see it in the trailer, but
I think you do.
yeah, you see it in the trailer there. But yeah, I think that's really well done. I'm trying to think of something. I was trying to think of something I didn't like about the movie. I don't know. I mean, I think I enjoyed a lot of it. All of it from beginning to end. I was just really kind of into the movie, and then when it comes towards the end of it, it also, like I said, it just keeps going up and up, and just that final climax of that battle is also amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe the length, maybe 2 hours and 17 minutes. Maybe I could say it's a little bit of an
Oh
issue.
man, I didn't really feel it though.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe like, okay, maybe I want to say probably when he's like after a certain conversation with an individual, then he's kind of like, oh, I gotta keep low a bit. Yeah, then it can kind of like drag for a bit, but and it just builds back up. It just builds back up, and it just keeps on going.
Yeah. Yeah. But except for that, like, because there's some stuff where he tries to go undercover in a
Yeah,
situation.
that's what I'm kind of talking about.
Yeah, and some of that is it goes on for maybe a little bit, kind of a little too long, maybe. But
That was a
even
great payoff, though.
it was, so I'm not complaining about that too hard. Like I said, everything about this movie really succeeds, and just also the other performances of it that come in kind of small roles here also do an excellent job here as well. Like I said, like with William Dafoe or Bjork, who shows up in this, she has a cool role in here, and then the mythology they bring in,
Yeah,
with that,
that was great to see.
yeah, and I think also Alexander Skarsgård, his father is in this movie too. He has a role in here too. That
Oh,
shows.
really?
Yeah, he shows up here in a good role as well. And them, so I also very much appreciate that as well. And Robert Eggers says he's got no interest in doing a movie in modern times. He's all about the past. You know what I mean? Way, way, way back. He says I got no.
I agree with him. I'm kind of agreeing with him.
Yeah, so he's got no interest in doing a movie in modern day settings. So hey, good for him. So yeah, I love this movie throughout. Very, very much enjoyed it. I give it, one of the highest tune-ins you can go. Very, very much loved it. What about you?
I I really enjoyed myself in the theater. It's been a while since I kind of enjoyed myself in a theater. This is a rare kind of movie where it just doesn't get made anymore. It reminded me of what happens when just a whole group of people focus on something with a lot of passion, and they don't give a crap about whether or not, oh, it's going to make back super amount, it's going to do this. They just put their all into it. They focus all on a specific type of storytelling. I love that they went into with Nordic mythology. It's one of my favorite mythologies. Everything from the architecture to the way they talk, the way that their mannerisms and speech, the way they just paint the picture on just the landscape, and it just really does feel like an epic little journey. It's a simple story, but it does feel like something that would have been told over a fire, would have been talked about and detailed, and I really appreciate that. And it feels like you're going along with the journey with them, even though you know the destination isn't going to end well. You want to go with them. You want to see how this ends, and it does. Even if it is bittersweet, it does not disappoint. You're not feeling like you got kicked in the junk. It feels like this is okay. This ended the way it had to end, and it ends in that manner. And you don't get much better than that, honestly. This is the strongest tune in I think maybe I've given on the show in a while, and it borders on possibly going higher than that. But I don't. That's the closest I've ever come to possibly giving something higher than that. But so I will stick with just a high tune in. Like, if you are even curious, go check it out in the theaters.
Yeah.
Just check it out.
Yeah.
Even though catch it at a matinee, by all means, just at least catch it at the theater.
Yeah. Even though it did have that uptick at number one, where it went from number 4 to number one, it's still kind of bombed at the box office because the budget on this is 70 to 90 million, and closer to 70 million. Robert Eggers was saying, so it is. Yeah. So it's got a kind of a high budget, I guess, for an art house movie as this is. So it's not living up to the budget that it has, but.
Yeah, for the movie theater, I think it's made only like 29 million.
Let me see. I can check real quick, but I believe so. I believe so. Yeah, but
yeah, I think it's like 20 something million.
Yeah. But I think I highly recommend going to check it out in theaters. Not because just to make the movie successful, but because I think it's a really great movie. I think it really deserves you to go check it out. Yeah.
This is a movie like The Lighthouse is. This is gonna be a movie I watch at the theaters and then I'm gonna buy. I'm just gonna buy to have on my own, to put on my shelf, because this is something I'm just gonna pop in every once in a while, maybe. But I would highly recommend. It's gonna make its money back in at least Blu-ray sales alone.
Yeah, I'd love to buy the box set of this. Like with the box set, it's gonna make an awesome probably box set of stuff, collectibles and all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to get this in 4K.
Oh yeah, man, you will really have a good time. You really have a good time.
Yeah, and you were right. It's close. It's so far worldwide, it's made $28 million so far.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So it's not the biggest bomb, but it is underperforming pretty much.
Yeah. All right. So 2 high tune-ins for the Northman. All right, we're done with that.